Welcome back to Acreage Adventures, where today I'm going to try and take this trunk I found on Facebook Marketplace, add some electronics and lights I got on Amazon, and create a glowing treasure chest for my kids. The reason I was inspired to do this is 1, it's winter in Alberta, so I need to find some indoor projects to work on, and 2, there are so many reasonably inexpensive trunks for sale in my area. At first, when I saw them, I was definitely interested in purchasing them for some reason, but I couldn't figure out why. Eventually I realized it's because video games have given me a sort of Pavlovian response to things that look like treasure chests. After making that realization, I simply had to see if I could turn a trunk into a treasure chest. So here we go. First things first, I wanted to see if I got the electronics right. I'm not an electrician by any stretch of the imagination, so before I started attaching anything to the trunk, I wanted to make sure I had the right parts. By some miracle, I must have read everything right and had exactly everything I would need to make this happen. Now, if you're going to try this out for yourself, the one key I think is making sure you get enough battery to have an appropriate voltage for the lights. In my case, the lights I wanted were 12 volts, which meant I had to get 8 AA batteries placed in series to get the right voltage. It felt like a lot initially, but it works, so who am I to argue? To make sure the lights weren't on all the time, the next piece I purchased was a magnetic switch. I needed something that when I opened the trunk lid, would create the circuit so that everything would turn on, but when I closed the trunk lid, that everything would turn off. I found these on Amazon as a 3-pack for only $16, and they're going to save me a fortune in not having to replace the batteries. After installing the magnetic switch and the magnet, the next step was to see if the lights would stick to the chest's interior. I will say that the contact isn't exactly perfect between the lights and the felt, but it's definitely good enough for what we're doing here. I believe this light strip is more typically used for kitchen cabinets and therefore would be attached to wood instead of felt, but regardless, it seems to hold onto our chest okay, and if we eventually have to do something to fix it like glue it, we will. At this stage, I didn't really have a plan for dealing with the wires and sort of thought I might just tape them to the felt. After thinking about it a little longer, I realized I should build some sort of protective panel to cover them though, as I expect the kids to be pulling things in and out all of the time. No matter how well I taped it down, that process was sure to result in problems though, so I decided to get a thin piece of wood, cut it to size, and use it to cover up most of the wire. If you're going to do something like this, I really do recommend a 1/4-inch board. I debated going thicker and maybe even flush to the battery holder, but now that it's done I have no regrets. The thin board still feels very sturdy and sturdy enough to protect the wires. And even after adding the thickness of the Velcro on the back of it, I'll be able to slide that battery holder open when it does come time to change the batteries out. So ultimately, that panel probably won't have to be moved unless something happens with the wires. Coming to the end of the project now, I'm just tidying up a couple things. For one, we didn't have the right color of furniture marker, so we had to order it on Amazon if we wanted to touch up a few of the marks on the trunk. Obviously this trunk is well used at this point, but we wanted to try and make it look as good as possible. Then the last step was to use some electrical tape to cover up our connection points before installing the protective panel. As I've said before, I probably overdid the Velcro, and that panel is on there good. So with that, we have a treasure chest. I think it actually turned out really good, and the kids love it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think of having more indoor content on the channel.
Wow, that's crazy!